Hi guys, welcome back to Waxing On. It's Monday, so that means jazz. And today we're going to have something completely different. Today we're looking at some music by saxophonist John Zorn. And it's the John Zorn album, Spillane. Now, Spillane for me was a really exciting album because I've been a big fan of Mickey Spillane's writing for years. I think I probably got my first Mickey Spillane book back in the early 70s, Mike Hammer. And I mean, this guy, 225 million books sold, if you can imagine how popular a writer Mickey Spillane was. I say writer because I had corresponded with him not too long before his passing and called him an author one time, and he pointed out to me that no, that wasn't true. He was a writer. Authors were a whole different thing from what he considered himself to be. Spillane's writing was unique. He wrote in the first person all the time. It was like he was telling you a story. It wasn't like you were reading the story about some characters. It was just the character was telling you the story himself. And they had a couple of movies made by different companies. We had different actors playing the lead character of Mike Hammer. Mickey Spillane's Mike Hammer TV show was Stacy Keach covered for a long time as Mike Hammer. But if you're lucky enough to go back and find a movie called The Girl Hunters, this is the one time where, and this was very unique in movie business, where the creator of a character and the author of the books actually played the character online. Spillane was cast as Mike Hammer. And to me, this was what Mike Hammer looked like, how he acted. In the Mike Hammer cartoons, or I'm going to say not cartoons, maybe comics. At one point, when we used to get comics in the newspapers, and I don't know how many of you remember getting those Sunday or Saturday color comics in the newspapers, there was a strip about Mike Hammer. And even the way they depicted him in those cases were nothing like what I pictured Mike Hammer to be. The movies with the other actors, again, didn't really fit the character. It wasn't until Spillane actually played Mike Hammer that I felt the casting was right. And when I read the books, it's Spillane I see as that lead character all the time. So again, when all of a sudden this album came out and it was, a tribute to Mike Hammer and the writing of Mickey Spillane, I was really excited to check it out. Now, John Zorn, he's a very unique character in his own right. I'm just going to read you a little bit of something here about this album and how he put it together to give you some insight into his arranging. Now, I've done some arranging myself, and I know how tedious and how hard that can be to put something together. I'll give you some idea what he was doing. And this is from John Zorn. Because I write in moments, in sound blocks, I sometimes find it convenient to store these events on filing cards so that they can be stored and ordered with minimum effort. After choosing a subject, in this case the work of Mickey Spillane, I research it in detail. I read books, articles, looked at films, TV shows, and photo files, listening to related recordings. Then drawing upon all of these sources, I write down individual ideas and images on filing cards. For these pieces, each card relates to some aspect of Spillane's work. Sometimes I wrote out only sounds: opening scream, Route 66 intro starting with hi-hat, then piano, then strings and harp. Other times I thought of a scene from a movie and I wrote scene of the crime, number 1, high harp harmonics, basses, trombone, drone, sound of water dripping and narration on top. It's these images that stayed in my mind. Sorting the filing cards and putting them in the perfect order is one of the toughest jobs, and it usually takes months. Picking the right band is essential because often just one person can make or break a piece. Sometimes I'll simply say things like, Anthony, play some cheesy cocktail piano, or Bill, go and improvise, my gun is quick. He wasn't writing out music for the performers. More, he was giving them clues as to what he wanted the scene to sound like or look like. And it was up to the performers to put that music together. A lot of improvisation. a lot of group improvisation. There was a lot of players on this, most notably the ones I can recall: Bill Frisell on guitar, and Bob James guested playing cassettes and CDs, whatever that was. It's very unique in the style of arranging, unique in what you hear. This album originally would have been on an album side. One side was Spillane and all about the feeling and what he got from his work. On the second side, we have another guest soloist, and it's another almost full side called Two Lane Highway, and it's bluesman Albert Collins doing vocals and playing guitar. So he's brought some people in. Now, I looked online. You find some John Zorn material there. I can't find this album. There's one available that's a compilation called Goddard and Spillane, where they've included some of this, but I don't think the actual Spillane album is still available. But a very unique way of writing, a very unique sound, quite a concept pulling this together as a tribute. And again, it's almost like a play in itself to hear how he's done it. But if you get a chance, check it out. This idea of the cue card arranging that Zorn does, it's remarkable how that turns out, and a lot of tribute to the great musicians he has on his albums. So today's recommendation is one of those rare finds, John Zorn's Spillane. We'll see you on Wednesday when we'll be looking at classic rock. Everybody have a great weekend.